Welcome back, friends and family of the internet and fellow watchers on the wall. Guys, so many of us are just like, I'm done. I'm so over it, right? At least you can be done in the privacy of your home. I'm still over here having the crazies on the internet. I want to make a point here. A lot of us have talked about the Orem, Utah, how important the place of the dragon was to where Charlie Kirk was actually assassinated. That is so important. I also want to point out that a few large platforms of, over 2 million people subscribe to those platforms brought up the beehive and the state, and then they skirted away from it very quickly. Are you guys curious as to why? Go look at who funds their platform. Who is supporting their platform? Who do they promote? Riverbend Ranches. That is a Mormon owned and operated. Yes, it's Mormon owned and operated. So is Melaleuca. There's a couple of big supposed Christian platforms that promote Melaleuca. I did. It's called Make the Switch. I did for about 6 months until a couple of people reached out to me and were like, Sam, we have a problem. Like they are forcing me to put an order in and I simply don't have the money for it. So they just, you know, did a minimum order, or I'm actually losing money. I know you're making some because you're above all of us, but we are all losing money. A little like a pyramid scheme, right? So I dug into it and I was like, no, I can't put my name behind this. So I spoke out against it and walked away. None of these Christians will even respond to people who are going underneath their platforms and like, making the switch is not a good thing. That is, you're supporting the Mormon church because the owner of that company is also the company of Riverbend Ranch. Now, who else do you know that's a big name, America's #1 podcaster? Right. Well, she can't talk about the Mormon church because her sponsors will unsponsor her. Be careful who you listen to, who pays them. It's always about the money. Welcome back to Starkey Farmstead, where YouTube did not pay us for 8 months. And our money comes directly from God. Can I get an amen? We work hard here. Today, I'm going to talk to you about something that I've noticed about Andrew Kolvet. He was Charlie's best friend, Charlie's right-hand man, Charlie's Mormon buddy. And I'm going to talk to you about something I just found called the Mormon Mason. The Mormon Manson killer. About this polygamist group that moved across the border into Mexico so that they could birth a bunch of babies, being married to 12 and 14 and 15 wives at a time. Yeah, it's a lot, folks, but it just reminds me of the Charlie Kirk assassination because, history repeats itself. But this is something I found out. Joseph Smith taught his followers that there were 3 levels of glory, 3 degrees of glory. Sounds just like the Masons, right? And at the celestial level, the only way to reach that level was through something called a plural marriage. You had to practice polygamy to get to their highest level, the celestial level. Now, it's in the Mormon church today, right? If you ask any Mormon, they're going to go, we don't practice polygamy. You're lying. You're lying. But I'm not. You have to go through all these occultish, demonic rituals to even get into the inner workings of the Mormon church. And there have been recent murders linked to this polygamy nonsense in the Mormon church. But this was back in the early 70s. This particular case, there were some brothers. They were named LeBaron and his brother, Joel LeBaron. Now, Uncle Joel, the brother to Ervil, like Cain and Abel, was considered the one mighty and strong. Now, Mormons believe they have to have prophets in today's world. The Bible's not enough. So they always have to have new prophets bringing new revelation to them. And Ervil and Joel, their father, passed the mantle of prophet down to Joel, who the people in this polygamy cult believed was more important than Jesus Christ. What ended up happening, friends and family, was that Joel was assassinated by his own organization, by his own brother. And his followers immediately began following his brother Ervil out of fear. He had a friend, Dan Jordan, who was actually the lynch man. They called Ervil the crazy Mormon prophet. Just kind of reminded me of the Charlie Kirk, Erica Kirk. You can think of them being married, like, the sibling, the brothers. And then you've got this Mormon, this crazy Mormon prophet, Andrew Kolvet. I'm going to be doing a 7-part series on the Mormon church because I do think we got a big problem in this country, but I want to show you something. By the way, friends and family, I am passing out the last 2 people who have requested help with Thanksgiving. That's going to be families 20 and 21. All glory to God. It's very interesting. But I remember when this came out, a lot of you will, but being that I was still hardcore MAGA, I wouldn't even really look at it because I'm like, oh, this is Democrats lying. This was 4 weeks ago after Charlie Kirk was assassinated. MAGA star melts down after being confronted with racist GOP group chat. I was like, oh no, this is just the Democrats trying to smear Republicans. They're trying to smear MAGA. I'm so sick of them. I would not even allow myself to really look at this because I didn't really want the truth. I was still very caught up in the cultish behavior of, if I go against MAGA, then it must mean I love the Democrats. No. And I can see it happening on my channel right now. People that have, like I said, watched me for 2 years just struggling with the news, Samantha. Well, I'm a great researcher, but humans by nature will overlook or refuse to look at evidence in front of them that goes against the narrative that they have told themselves. It is a form of brainwashing. And what MAGA has done is told all of us we can't believe anything that doesn't come from them. Remember, you can't believe anything that comes out of the Pentagon unless they give it directly to the news organization. And all of them looked out, including Fox, except for TPUSA and InfoWars. That should tell you something. A MAGA media insider froze on stage when asked to condemn a cache of Nazi-praising messages from a leaked Republican group chat, turning a Kennedy Center town hall into a very public cringe. Andrew Kolvet, spokesperson for TPUSA and executive producer of The Charlie Kirk Show, was pressed multiple times to denounce thousands of vile texts allegedly exchanged among members and leaders in the Young Republican National Federation. The messages included slurs, references to gas chambers, and a blunt declaration, "I love Hitler." Now, Charlie Kirk was so sick of conservatives who were doing this, oh, I'm a Holocaust denier. It wasn't that bad. We have a problem on the Republican side right now. We have these young Republicans coming up between the ages of like 16 and 40 that deny the Holocaust, right? And you've got these big controlled opposition platforms pushing that narrative. You've got people like Kolvet that was supposed to be supposedly aligned with everything that Charlie Kirk believed and pushed, but it seems that he was never really in a line with Charlie, was he? Kolvet was part of a News Nation forum on political violence, a setting that practically begged for moral clarity. Instead, viewers got deflection. We saw this in Nazi group chat, which I'm sure you condemn, right? Liberal social media personality Adam Mockler asked. As fellow panelists Bill O'Reilly and Stephen A. Smith looked on. We can talk about it, Kolvet replied. Mockler tried again. Do you condemn it? He asked. Kolvet repeated, I want to talk about it. What is there to talk about? I love Hitler? Who in their right flipping mind idolizes Hitler? Mockler compared Kolvet to Vice President J.D. Vance, who recently minimized the scandal after Politico reported it. Vance initially waved away the uproar as pearl clutching, then went further on the Charlie Kirk show, calling the senders a bunch of kids and arguing that young boys tell edgy, offensive jokes. Really? Because I have seen what the young boys in Palestine look like. They look indoctrinated and they look real, real, real dangerous. Then I look over at the Mormons, and as I'm digging into this LeBaron, the Mormon Manson, and I realized that he was training up young boys and young kids with firearms. And then I see J.D. Vance want to blow off this as young boys telling edgy, offensive jokes. Are we Christians or not, folks? So this is Charlie Kirk's producer.
Just think about this. We saw these Nazi group chats, which I'm sure you condemn, right? This Nazi group chat.
Yeah. Well, we can talk about it.
Do you condemn it?
I want to talk about it.
Wait, so when they said gas chambers,
disavow.
When they say gas chambers, you won't. So you're like JD Vance. You just won't condemn this?
Well, I actually had JD on the show today. We had a whole conversation.
You guys can all condemn this, right?
Yes.
Thank you.
Hold on.
All right.
Hold on.
But
Chris, can you condemn that?
Here's the point, of course. But that's easy. What I'm
for him, but you know what?
Politico obtained months of telegram correspondence involving dozens of young Republican, the Federation leaders in the states like New York, Kansas, Arizona, and Vermont. The organization is supposed to be the GOP's talent pipeline for members 18 to 40, not a breeding ground for racist cosplay. After publication, Republican officials in several states quickly condemned the messages, and some of the figures named in the chat lost political jobs. Wow. Republicans who want nothing to do with this mess are saying the quiet part out loud. It is not just morally rotten, it is politically toxic. Apologies that frame slurs and genocidal references as edgy banter do not play with suburban voters, nor with the young conservatives who do not want their movement defined by Telegram trolls. I just heard that the Texas governor, which we all know he is sold out, has pretty much opened up a Turning Point University in a Turning Point chapter in every university in Texas. You got Ron DeSantis opening up a Turning Point chapter in every high school. He's pushing for it. Virginia giving money to start Turning Point. chapters. Folks, you better wake up. They are taking the conservative movement into fascism, right? You know, when we all started this journey together a year and a half ago to get Trump reelected, and people were screaming, we don't want kings. And I laughed at them. I'm like, I don't have any idea what these people are talking about. I am so not a believer in what Hitler did. I never want to see history repeat itself. But it looks like maybe the Republican Party doesn't have a handle on the young people behind the curtain, friends. And you ignoring it, you shoving it underneath is not okay. It's not okay. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. You get mad at me, I'm like, go watch somebody that's going to tell you everything is okay and you've got nothing to worry about, sweetheart. If that's the kind of content you want, my channel's not for you. My channel, I go on a journey of learning every day. And I have apologized to God and I have asked him to really show me what's going on. And he took me serious. And that's what you're getting to see. So this is the unholy war of a polygamist cult leader, LeBaron, the Mormon Manson. It's the 1970s. The leader of a sect of fundamentalist Mormons launched a campaign of murder that terrorized communities in both Mexico and the U.S., all in the name of God. They called it a blood atonement and domination over his rival Mormon polygamist. Guys, wow. Like Charles Manson, LeBaron was a murderer with a biblical-sized ego, an Old Testament sense of justice, and a desire to make women and other members of his cult central to his crimes. LeBaron had 13 wives. I just heard on a show that I'm watching about his children that there was actually 14 wives, including several who were underage, and he used them to help carry out his slayings. Some of them were extremely young. All right. So it goes on. From the very beginning, LeBaron justified his murderous campaigns by warping Mormon early religious doctrines like blood atonement and the church's history of violence and polygamy to fit his criminal desires. In 1831, Joseph Smith first led his flock to the west to escape persecution. Why were they being persecuted? Because they had a real habit of marrying 12 and 13-year-old girls after they were already married to other 12 and 13-year-old girls. The Mormons weren't welcomed by their new neighbors and instead faced evictions, bloody massacres by anti-Mormon militias, and even state-sanctioned violence. Don't you love the way they paint that? Like the Mormons were innocent. After Mormons were forced to leave Missouri in 1838, Joseph Smith led his people to Illinois. It was there that Smith had his 1843 revelation, which informed him that Mormon men should enter into plural marriage. After Smith was killed, Brigham Young, a new leader who would go on to have 51 wives, led the faithful to their new home in Utah. Now, please don't ever forget that they also ran for president back then, and their goal was to rewrite the United States Constitution into a theology.
They're in prison. 20-year-old leaders. 20-year-old leaders, teenage leaders, were picked up in prison, and they were just left with pretty much little kids trying to raise each other.
They were going door to door begging the neighbors for food because there were no people that came back to take care of them.
And
they eventually got rescued.
They were in, in just very impoverished conditions. One of the 15-year-old girls claimed to be older because she's tall. She's a LeBaron daughter. So she's tall.
We need to get to the point of the accomplishments.
Okay. Anyway, so she would teach. I'm going to finish that real quick. She would go. Right? It's not my story to tell, is it?
It's not.
Okay. No, I'm gonna skip that. Yes, but
so we have brothers that were in the KOG who became have a master's degree in electrical engineering. One has a doctorate, a PhD, and was part of the team or on his thesis, I can't remember, wrote and helped design, I think, the chargers for the Tesla automobiles. So we're just super proud. One of my sisters,
great education.
Right, one of my sisters got her bachelor's degree and then went and taught mediation at a well-known university. I'm not going to say. One of them, I'm not going to say. Okay. It's just they need to tell their stories when they want to. But we just want to brag on them for a little bit.
And there's another one that graduated from an Ivy League college.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Also pursuing a master's degree right now.
After growing up in this KOGBS and just being really smart. And I don't know how you go from second grade to a master's. And now this one that I'm thinking of, working on a PhD too. So
that's amazing.
Brilliant kids. And not coming out of that awful existence and just saying, poor me. Look what life dealt me. I'm going to sit on my hands and I'm just going to cry and let everybody do something about it for me. No, they're going after life, grabbing it by the horns and making it the best life that they possibly can.
This is why we're so proud of our family and proud of the LeBaron name. Do you want to tell them your news?
I already said it in my single one.
But say it now because this is different and not everybody might hear it. I'm proud of you.
If they want to know, they can listen.
Oh.
Unless you want me to, Shalise. I don't want to do a lot of repeat.
Oh, no, that's fine.
Yeah. These are the LeBaron sisters that came out of that cult.
To go, and what was it?
You heard them say that one of their family members helped make the charging ports for Elon Musk's his Tesla. I was watching it on I don't remember which app it's on, the whole family Saga, but I was watching it while my dogs were playing earlier, exercising in the pond, and I was watching it. And one of the sisters is like, well, I still believe in polygamy because I want to get to the celestial kingdom. And I was like, you don't have to whore yourself out to get to heaven, friends and family. I don't understand anybody having twisted theology when you can go buy a Bible anywhere in this country. Do you know why these weird religions really work well? Because some people really do want to be controlled. I think that's why you have that hardcore base of MAGA that cannot hear one word about anybody in the Republican Party and they don't just lose their mess because they want to fit in. They have a need to be led. And then there's the ones like you and I, the ones that they labeled ADHD, the ones they tried to medicate, the ones they put in gifted or in special ed, whatever they could do to shut us up because we don't think like everybody else. I'm telling y'all, pray for President Trump because something is coming. And when it happens, JD Vance and Erica Kirk are going to take over the White House in America. And JD Vance has been associated already with too many pearl clutching moments for my taste. He is a Jesuit. He is bought and paid for. And I personally don't mind people getting upset with me because somebody has to say it. Tell me what you think, guys. I am just way too many similarities in the LeBaron drama. And then the Kolvet, I was like, oh, I got to tell people this. I've got to share this with them. All right. I love you guys so much. Be very blessed. Thank you for your time. And I'll see you tomorrow.